Airbnb's downfall is quite simple actually. It's because y'all deviated from y'all original business model, which was to be cheaper and more convenient than hotels. At first you guys were, but now you just aren't.
So I saw a video asking why has Airbnb started to fail, and ding ding ding, I know the answer. You turn your guests into employees. I gotta take the trash out.
People all over the country believed Airbnb will make them rich, but now hosts are begging for bookings. Some are losing tens of thousands of dollars just trying to sell. And if you're not careful, you could be next. So what happens when that Airbnb dreams turn into a nightmare?
Are we seeing the downfall of Airbnb? Our cabin that has been booked in the Smoky Mountains from about 85 to 95% occupancy year-round is just not occupied at all. Our prices right now for a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom cabin overlooking the Smoky Mountains is less than a hotel, and I have to beg people to come to my cabin right now. Like you guys have seen me, I've been hustling, posting videos for January and February. We had 3 stays in January, and there is only 1 stay coming up here in February, and then our next stay is not till March 10th. We've had plenty of you reach out to me by DM and receive a quote, knowing it's our lowest prices of the season, but I am getting no bites. And I'm legitimately asking, why? What is going on? What am I missing here? And in our cabin in particular, we have prided ourselves, is that a word? In the last 4 years, we have not gotten lower than $100,000 in gross income rental fees. Our competitors with 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom cabins, between 60 and 70 gross. We're a super host on Airbnb. We have all the accolades you can imagine. We have a great social media following. So I'm thinking if I'm struggling to fill my cabin, I know there are others. So then I'm also asking like, why? What's going on? And then I'm thinking as a host, what can I do even more to fill up my cabin? You know, the economy, like eggs, for example, are out of this world right now. Or just people not traveling.
If her prices are lower than getting a hotel and she's still not getting bookings, that usually means one of two things. Either there's no demand in that area right now, or there are so many Airbnbs that it's completely saturated. I also wonder if she's making the same mistakes a lot of hosts make, turning their guests into part-time housekeepers by asking them to do too much before they check out. Honestly, I think there's a simple fix here. Lower the price and remove all those extra guest responsibilities if they exist. People book Airbnbs to relax, not to do chores on vacation. I did check her recent videos and it looks like things picked up later in the year, so maybe this was just a slow season or a pricing issue. What do you think she was doing wrong here? Is it her pricing, location, or maybe the guest experience? Let me know what you think. So are hotels or Airbnbs better? Let's find out.
Hot take, I love a hotel. I much rather stay in a hotel than an Airbnb or a VRBO or RVBO, whatever the heck it's called. Because honestly, a hotel has everything you need. Body wash, shampoo, conditioner, face wash, hand soap, lotion, all the towels you could possibly need. If you use 7 towels in one day, you can call down and be like, hey, I need more towels. And they're like, on my way with four extra for you. The pillows are soft. The air conditioning is the crispest, coldest blast of AC I've ever experienced in my life. I sleep so good in a giant king-size bed. And honestly, there's no cleaning fee. You don't have to clean. You can leave it, well, there's a respect of leaving it not disgusting for the cleaning staff of hotels, but you don't have to clean up. You just leave it and then you get to check out and you're done. Honestly, I'm gonna pick a hotel every time.
You can really feel the difference in her experience. She's all about hotels now, and honestly, I get it. When you stay at a hotel, you have staff on site, daily cleaning, and someone you can call right away if there's an issue. There's no chasing down a host and trying to text them, no waiting hours for a reply. You just pick up the phone and press 0. I've stayed in Airbnbs all over the country, full houses, apartments, and even single rooms, and I've had mixed experiences. But the best part used to be that it was typically cheaper than hotels, but that's become more rare now. And with hotels, you get things like a gym, restaurants, and maybe even a free breakfast. You actually feel like you're on vacation and not working on vacation. So are you more of a hotel person or an Airbnb person? I'm curious to see how many of you feel the same way. So is a hotel really cheaper than Airbnb? Let's take a look.
Airbnb's downfall is quite simple actually. It's because y'all deviated from y'all original business model, which was to be cheaper and more convenient than hotels. At first you guys were, but now you just aren't. Number one, you cost more than a hotel. Now keep keep this in mind. You can get into a really fancy hotel for less than $200 a day. If you go on Airbnb right now, the cheapest house is $200 a day. Then you have to factor in cleaning fees, which is another $250, $300. With hotels, you just don't have that. With Airbnbs, you got to put all the towels in the washer. You got to put the trash out to the curb. Like with the hotels, you get in, you get out. You check in, you check out. That's it. Then you got to factor in all the hidden fees with Airbnb. Your host might not be available 24/7. With hotels, you always have a front desk attendant, so you can always go there if you have a problem. And just think about it. When you're on vacation, you typically go on vacation, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. When you buy Airbnb, your first day, you have to go out and go grocery shopping. But mind you, you're on vacation. You don't want to go grocery shopping. You really don't even want to go cook for yourself. With hotels, they offer free breakfast. So all you have to do is go downstairs, eat breakfast, and you are good for the day. So for your typical 3-day weekend, you want to go to a hotel. For your really, really expensive hotels, we're talking about $200 a day. We're at $400 for our typical 3-day weekend, 2-night stay. If you take that same scenario and go to Airbnb, you're looking at $650, $700. On top of the fact that Airbnbs, you have to clean up behind yourself, you have to go out and go buy groceries, and you have to cook for yourself. So not only has Airbnbs outpriced themselves from hotels, you have outconvenienced yourself from hotels as well, if that's a word. So no, it's really not hard to figure out why Airbnbs are failing. You guys have outgreeded your own selves. But let me know what you guys think. I see you on the next one. Peace.
I agree with him 100%. It's rare to find an Airbnb that's actually cheaper than a hotel anymore. But when he said fancy hotel for under $200 a night, I had to stop for a second and try to figure out where exactly he was talking about. So have you seen any nice hotels that are $200 a night? Let me know in the comments if I'm missing something here. I've seen some of the most ridiculous rule books at Airbnbs. Yes, rule books. And I get that it's your home, but we came to relax, not work for you for free. If you have cleaners coming or you're planning to clean after we leave, why do we have to get it started for you? I mean, make it make sense. Personally, I love me a hotel with free breakfast. Even if there's a small fee, it's fine. The convenience, in my opinion, is a game changer, especially on vacation. I'm not big on cooking during vacation, maybe breakfast, but that's it. In my opinion, it feels like a waste of time when you could simply be out exploring the place where you're visiting. But on group trips in an Airbnb, someone always ends up cooking at least once. And yeah, going back to that $200 a night for a fancy hotel, I think he was trolling. But why do you think Airbnb is failing? Is it the pricing, the fees, or is it simply too many rules? So could there be one big reason Airbnb is collapsing? Let's find out.
So I saw a video asking why has Airbnb started to fail, and ding ding ding, I know the answer. You turn your guests into employees. I gotta take the trash out. I gotta take the trash to the street. I gotta put the dishes in the dishwasher and start that bit. I gotta take the sheets off the bed, take them downstairs, put them in the washing machine, and start that as well. The list of rules would be longer than the concierge suggestions. How is that going to work for me? And then on top of that, there's not a lot of brand partnerships that are beneficial to the stayer. Like at least if I stay at the Marriott, I can get a discount on Lyft rides. At least I can merge that together. Hilton has a merger with Delta Airlines. I think Uber or something like that. Like, y'all don't have no discounts. There's no point system. There's no book 11, get the 30th, book 11, get the 12th one, 30% off. And the only thing that was keeping Airbnb competitive was the fact that it was cheaper than a hotel. But that's not the case anymore. Like, I've got a short trip coming up, got to do a conference or whatever. And I'm looking at the stuff and I'm like, how am I going to split these 4 days up because I have to be in 2 cities within 4 days? And it's like, I'm just going to do hotels and collect my points and put it towards something else because they don't really have anything to incentivize me to stay at an Airbnb. There's not even additional security.
She's absolutely right. So many Airbnbs have turned their guests into employees. I remember last year I was at an Airbnb with a group, and while I was taking the trash to the curb, I thought to myself, what am I doing? It took me about 10 years to realize how ridiculous that is. I even caught myself tidying up extra just because I wanted to avoid extra fees because I don't like paying more money for things than I need to. But taking the sheets off the bed and starting the washer, that is just out of control. As far as brand partnerships, she made a great point. Hotels have way more of them. I just stayed at one where I used a $50 meal credit because of credit card benefits. You don't see that on Airbnb. And I've also used credit card points for free or discounted hotel stays, and I'm sure many of you have too. To be honest with you, the further we get into this comparison, the better hotels are looking to me. So there's another side to Airbnb we need to talk about, the nightmare guests. But first, I need you to like and subscribe button. If you want to get better at real estate investing, you gotta follow this channel. People just have no respect for other people's property or themselves because there's no reason you'd leave someone's home looking like that. These are probably the same type of folks who litter in their own neighborhood. It's just a lack of respect across the board. And honestly, this isn't only an Airbnb problem. It's a landlord problem too. Trust me, I've experienced it firsthand and it's not fun. I do wonder what kind of stay this was, maybe a one-night booking with a big group or maybe a longer stay that went bad. Either way, this kind of mess can wipe out a host's profits very fast. And this is one of the reasons I'm personally not interested in short-term rentals. You've got people constantly in and out of the house or the unit, and even though the income potential is higher than a regular long-term rental, the risk is also higher. As a host, when someone leaves a property like that, you can lose thousands in cleaning, repairs, and lost booking time trying to fix everything. But I want to hear from you. Would you ever or have you rented out a property on Airbnb? I'm curious to hear how your experience went if you did do it before. So the next situation is one that I've never heard of before, and I need you to let me know what you think. Let's check it out.
I just kicked out my Airbnb guests for the first time ever, no refund, and immediately made them leave the property. I am kicking myself for giving a one-night stay because we never do that. We're coming in from out of town, needed a place to stay overnight. They agreed to paying the $225 cleaning fee and a couple $100 to stay overnight. We had a 4-day break. It's a Sunday. What's the worst that can happen? Get a ring notification and I see this over my cameras. I've never had this happen before where guests wanted to take whatever, the cloth or whatever this is, put it on the exterior cameras, which are facing the driveway and facing the front porch only. Have disclosed that we do have outdoor cameras. There shouldn't be a surprise there. I'm also kicking the fact that I do not state this explicitly in my renter agreement. You guys can see here, I do say that I can literally kick you out at any time if they violate any terms of this agreement. I did quote number 7, that the guest should be using my property in utmost integrity to make a guest ready for the next people. And this is not doing that. I brought this to the guest's attention that we do not allow this. Get your covering off my camera. And he said he did. And then I see this moments later. Messing with my internet. I even let the guests check in early, told them that they have to leave immediately, but I have no way to know if they actually have. So I think what I'm going to do is just call the sheriff tonight, do a wellness check on my property to make sure they left, but I'm honestly a little afraid that any retaliation, I don't know. We've never also had any guests stay long period. It's a short-term rental place, but covering the cameras, one-night stays, my head's going a million miles an hour. When I have an update, I will give one.
A one-night stay is one of the riskiest things an Airbnb host can allow. Those are often the bookings where people throw parties and just trash the place. If someone only needs one night, they can simply book a hotel instead. But time out, a $225 cleaning fee for one night? Does that mean it's over $1,000 for the cleaning fee for the whole week? Now, she didn't deserve what happened, but that fee is crazy. And the guest covering the outside camera is also a huge red flag. They were clearly up to no good. I saw someone comment that kicking people out because you can't watch them is scary, but honestly, I don't think she was sitting there watching them. She probably got a notification that the camera was covered or disconnected. But do you think Airbnb should be allowed to have outside cameras while guests are there? Let me know what you think. So there's an Airbnb strategy a lot of people don't talk about, and it's landed many folks in big trouble.
I quit Airbnb arbitrage, and here's exactly why. I made a lot of videos on this. I stopped doing arbitrage roughly about 1.5 years ago. I now am focusing on buying houses because that's the end goal. Just to give you guys a reminder, started off Airbnb management, then got into Airbnb arbitrage, then I got into buying Airbnbs. I'm still doing Airbnb. I'm still using all the tactics of running and operating a short-term rental, but now I'm doing it on assets that I own, because that is the end goal. What is the point of having all the cash flow in the world and having $1 million in the bank account if you don't own any assets? Okay, because cash is useless without putting it to work. Why would I have all the money in the world if I can't pass it down to a generation, if I can't give it to my mother, my father, my kids, my cousin, my brothers, my future wife? What is the point? So equity and ownership is the end goal. Okay, tax benefits, really, really important. You only get it from owning assets. So quick reminder to everyone here, Airbnb arbitrage is not a long-term solution, okay? Use those skills of building a foundational Airbnb business, of managing cleaners, managing teams, managing a property, and take that cash flow and start buying houses, and that is how you will build true wealth. Hope that helps.
Airbnb arbitrage is when someone rents an apartment, then relists that same unit on Airbnb on a similar site to make a profit. Now, there are some landlords who might be okay with this, especially if their units are sitting vacant and they need the income. But the majority of landlords don't allow it, and finding one who does allow it can be a challenge. A lot of people try to do this behind their landlord's back, and they pay the price by getting evicted, fined, or even getting banned from the Airbnb platform altogether. And it can also be a safety risk when you got strangers constantly coming in and out of a residential building. The bigger risk is when people start buying homes just to use them as Airbnbs. If the market shifts or a city passes new restrictions, you can end up stuck with a property that no longer cash flows. And when I say cash flow, I mean that your property earns more than it costs to own after expenses like the mortgage, taxes, insurance, and maintenance. My advice is to only buy a property if it works first as a long-term rental. That way, if short-term rentals stop working, you can pivot and still generate some income. A lot of people don't think that far ahead, and when rules changed or the bookings dried up, they were forced to sell. So do you think Airbnb arbitrage is a smart strategy, or is it too risky? Let me know your thoughts. One thing that hasn't been discussed much is Airbnb's recent fee change. So let's talk about it. Historically, Airbnb hosts paid a 3% fee and guests paid a 14 to 16% service fee on top of their booking. As of October 27th, a 15.5% service fee will be deducted from the host's payout and guests won't have to pay it. Now, while this seems like a win for guests, I predict hosts may simply raise their prices to cover that loss, and Airbnb even says on their own website that hosts may want to consider adjusting their prices to make up for the additional fee. That being said, I think this could be a smart time for hosts to undercut competitors by keeping their prices the same or dropping them to attract more bookings. For hosts who don't use property management software, these new fees start December 1st. I guess Airbnb finally heard enough complaints about all the fees that the guests don't want to pay anymore. There's something else that not many people have been discussing, but it's crucial. It's estimated that hundreds of cities now have some type of short-term rental restriction. Some cities cap the number of Airbnbs in an area, limit how many nights you can rent it out, or have completely banned short-term rentals in certain zones. In other cases, hosts have to pay license fees, taxes, and a number of other costs simply to operate. Part of this might be cities trying to control housing availability, while others just want to have a piece of the revenue. Places like New York City, Chicago, San Diego, LA, and Denver all have notable restrictions in place, to name a few. Why do you think some cities are limiting short-term rentals? And do you think it's a good thing? The truth is, Airbnb has changed travel forever, but it also exposed how fragile certain real estate strategies can be. Fees went up, rules got tighter, and travelers started rethinking what convenience really means. If you're in that stage of figuring out your next move, maybe buying your first home or investing, I'm a licensed realtor and can get you connected to a trusted realtor in your area who can guide you on the process. You can find more information in the pinned comment of the video. And don't forget to check out my home affordability calculator to see what home price could potentially fit your budget. You can also find that in the pinned comment. Lastly, real estate isn't about luck. It's about understanding the numbers before you make the move. We talk about it on this channel all the time. Now that you know about the Airbnb crisis, I want you to learn about how to avoid buying a home that you can't sell. Check out this video right here.